Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, a couple days ago I did a comic about professional wrestling. This time I got a comic about football, or football adjacent anyway. We're going to talk about 1991's NFL Superpro Special Edition #1 from Marvel Comics. This is a title that was done in conjunction with the NFL, hence the logo and the fact that they use real NFL teams named in the story. And it's a silly concept, and it only lasted 12 issues plus this one special edition, which was just a reprint of the original introduction to the character. The best part of this comic is this great cover painting by Joe Jusko. Maybe it's supposed to be pronounced Husko. I'm not sure. And of course, Joe Jusko then he did a lot of covers, magazine and book covers, as well as a lot of paintings for trading cards back then, and it's just some marvelous work. And that is the best part of the comic right there. And the interior art is well done too. This project was written by Fabian Nicizea. I've never been able to pronounce his name right. With interior art pencils by Jose Delbo and Bob Hall, with various inkers, and they've done a real nice job on that interior art. Okay, and for those who don't know, this is Superpro was a comic series from Marvel Comics with the NFL, and this features a former football player by the name of Phil Grayfield, and he survives an accident which gives him superpowers, and wears an indestructible football uniform as a superhero. And as I said, it ran for 12 issues. I never got any of them. This was a relatively recent acquisition from about a year or so ago, and because I never even thought of buying it when it was new, because, well, I am not a football fan and never have been. Don't care less. But it's something unusual. I like unusual comics, so I got it and checked it out, and it was an enjoyable read. But it has one of the silliest origin for superpowers that I think I've ever read. But it was just trying to take the concept and try to pigeonhole an origin into it. Okay, so we'll try to keep this fairly short, even though it's a longer story. I think it's 40. Does it say 40? Yeah, 46 pages of story, no ads. Well, plus the title pages. So it'd be 44 pages of story plus the cover. And yeah, so, and and it starts with some action to pull you in, which is a technique that I like. Some action to pull you into the story, and then later telling the origin in flashback. And the whole thing is this guy Phil, who is Superpro, and he is a sports, not a sports commentator, but a sports journalist, a photojournalist, film journalist, video journalist. That's what I'm trying to say, and he has learned about some new super steroid that is being used and infiltrated into college and professional football. So, and he's trying to take it down. Here's some stuff he learned about stealing some certain chemicals from a place. He goes in, busts that up. Cops get there, and they say, "Hey, I won't talk to you, so I got to take off." And he smashed that up, but he didn't get the information he wanted. Has his date night with his fiancée. Then later he's at a football stadium where they're covering a practice session, and he is friends with some of the players. Like this one here, his name is hasn't got to him yet. Ron Macedon, and we're introduced to his videographer, who working with him, who knows nothing about Superpro, but so we see some stuff. He's talking with this player Ron, who he had been a former teammate of Phil's, and we'll find out a little more about that. Ernst sees this rookie player here, and he is just huge, massive. And then out in the parking lot, they see some kind of exchange there, and follows the guy he had the payoff with. And he's a scientist, works at a state university professor by the name of Morrison. Finds out about him, sees that this guy does some work for this company, a chemical pharmaceutical company, and so while he goes out to go do some checking out, his videographer does some checking out of his own on Phil, because thinks Phil's acting kind of odd. And then as Superbro, he gets into that company, which is Jacobs Corporation, where he manages to sneak in using his superpowers and his brightly colored football uniform, and sneaks in over here, finds that that scientist works here, and does some sneaking, finds out about a super steroid that has been developed there. And he goes back, and he is confronted by his videographer, who's done some background on it, and makes connections, says, "You're Superpro, now tell me the story." So then this is when chapter 2, we get told in flashback his origin, how he was a top-notch college football player, made the draft, was drafted to a team I don't remember, doesn't matter, and but right at the very beginning, one of the first days in training camp, and he has an accident and messes up his left knee. I know exactly how he feels. And how he's out for the whole season, spends the whole year recovering, building up his strength and stuff. The Giants, that's who it was. And the following year, it gets into in a couple of goes through training camp, gets a couple of exhibition games, and then has another accident, and this time actually breaks that leg, the same leg. He spends another year out of the season, and then he's cut. But he gets, but after his recovery, he gets on with the Chicago Bears, and here he is meeting. This is when he meets Ron Macedon through through his Macedon's little Ron's son Jeremy. They're running in and they become friends. Good time in training camp and stuff. But then later, the little boy Ron has an accident. Phil is right there. Using his football skills, he catches and protects the kid. But in the process, he breaks that leg again, and he's not only out for the season, he's out for good. And so Ron claims some has guilt over what happened, and Phil says, "Don't feel guilty. It was an accident, and even knowing what happened, I would have done it a second time." Here is as Ron and his son Jeremy, and when I read that, I had to laugh. Ron Jeremy, if you know, you know. And so then he's finding more. We learn more that after he wound up getting a job for a sports TV show, doing some investigating, and he hunts down this really wealthy man who is a super memorabilia collector, and he finally finds where this guy lives, because he keeps himself to himself pretty much. So he gets there, does glad to do an interview, doing some prep work here, shows his memorabilia collection, etc., and he shows that he's such a fan. He had designed this new football uniform, which is virtually, which for really protect the players. It's basically an indestructible armor, and he still has the. But it costs so much; it has to be fitted specifically for each player, and it would cost so much. It was just cost prohibitive, and never went into production. So he's got it here on display. He still has the equipment there for making this stuff, and the special plastic used for the indestructible plastic, kind of like a plastic version of adamantium. And meanwhile, some goons bust in because they have basically followed Phil and his investigations to find this guy, so they basically followed him to this place, because this collection is worth millions in memorabilia. And there they go. They're going to steal as much as they can. They find some films, old game films, and they use that, the celluloid, very flammable, to wrap him up, tie Phil up in. And we don't show what happened with the old man. Douse the place in gasoline and set it, after taking what they wanted, set the place on fire, which activates the fire suppression system, and the burning celluloid, and the chemicals for the suit spray on. See, this is where it's really silly. And somehow all this comes together and gives him superpowers. He smashes into the Superpro uniform, stuff, puts that on, and he chases him down the mountain and takes out the bad guys, and saves saves the collection, what's left of the collection. And then the old collector secretly allows him to keep the Superpro uniform. And that is the origin part of Superpro. See, that's a silly origin story. Now in part 3, this is where we get to the payoff. Is noticing that rookie who is that we saw earlier, and it shows him in high school, then in college, and he's the way he is physically changed, the physical changes, and stuff like spots like stuff like the acne, which the steroids causes on his arms and back, and the physical changes to his face also caused by the steroids, and until he has gotten so incredibly massive, and they're coming up for a big game, and he goes to confront the scientist Morrison at the college and eventually get him to off the record. And he tells him everything. Says, and he's basically forced by the powers that be to produce this steroid and try it out with various athletes, including that rookie. Says but he's got his last treatment for these steroids that day, just before, and it will take hours for it to manifest. And before his game, the game is in just a little bit. I've got to stop him from taking the stuff. Tried to get there, but it's too late. And here you can see how incredibly massive the guy got. And there he is. His friends who had also been taking this steroid, but just warned him against it because you don't know what it's going to do here. We've had enough. And he takes it, and he causes him to basically mutate, and he hulks out. And just as Superpro gets there, and he smashes through the wall. He's gone on a steroid-fueled rampage, and Superpro gets out and goes head-to-head with the guy. Boom, boom, knocking him down, trying to keep him from injuring people and damage. A kid falls out of the window, and the Superpro catches him, and to save him from this steroid-fueled rampage. This guy has gone. He's just gotten so huge from the last results of this steroid treatment. Kid gets away. He finally knocks him down, and what does he do? Yeah, using his own speed and stamina to eventually take him down, even though his opponent is more powerful. And then he collapses from a cardiac arrest. He gets there. He tells him to get an ambulance there while he's performing CPR. The game goes on. They find out that the guy died, and his teammates who had also been doing the steroid, they go into his locker, take the stuff, and flush it. So everything is hunky-dory. They stopped the steroids. The company says they knew nothing about it, and it was done because it was all done after hours, and they claim they had nothing to do with it, and it was unauthorized. And there is Phil with his fiancée, and all's well that ends well until the next football crisis shows up. It was an enjoyable read. Nothing spectacular, of course. I find it hard. That's fine for a one-shot. I don't see how they could have expected it to have lasted. And I don't know how it did last a full 12 issues. But it did, probably because it had the NFL behind it. So that's all I have to share with you this time. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Do you remember Superpro? Did you read it? Did you think it was as dumb an idea as I did? Let me know in the comments down below. And remember, even with football, comics are art.